Hi, and welcome back to another video. I'm Matt Shell, and this is Thousand Ant, where we give you Unity tutorials, devlogs, and general indie game dev advice. In this video, I'm going to show a tool that I'm using to do code-based animations on my Untitled Cute Space game, which you can get for free on the Unity Asset Store. Let's check it out. All right, so there are a lot of different ways that we can approach making objects move in our games. This is a very fundamental thing that you're going to need in all types of games, and there are many different ways that you can approach this. One, if you're using Unity, is using the animation and the animator component. You can also write your own scripts using coroutines, but another tool that's available is what's called a tweening library. The one that I'm going to talk about today is called DoTween. So what DoTween is it's a tool that allows you to make animations via code. You can say, move this object or rotate this object this far over this amount of time in a really kind of simple and straightforward way. It was only fairly recently that I was trying to achieve some animation effects in my Untitled Cute Space game where I was moving from player control to wanting to have the character go and sit down in a chair, right? And I was really struggling to do it with Timeline and Unity's animation tools. And I was talking to my friend Andre, who runs the Mix and Jam channel. He was like, oh, just use DoTween. Obvious, just use DoTween. And if you've watched any of his videos, you'll see that he really uses DoTween a lot to achieve a lot of code-based animation effects. If you're not familiar with his Mix and Jam channel, I highly recommend that you check it out. He's doing amazing stuff around mechanic recreation. It's super cool. And so he was kind of like, yeah, just use DoTween. And so what I'm going to show you is my kind of first attempt at implementing it. So if we enter play mode here, what you'll see is we have our character idling in this kind of blank space station space. So one of the ideas that I'm kind of playing with, this is a Animal Crossing-like game set in space, and I'm thinking, space is going to be something that is at a premium, right? It's not a huge spaceship or space station. It's kind of a small space. We need to maximize our space. So I hit on this idea of a Murphy bed, right? Which is a kind of bed that folds out from the wall. So this is what I made, and I made using DoTween. If you click, you can see that it transforms this kind of generic space into a bedroom. And then if you click again, it folds everything up, and if we click over here, I'm using right now this cube over here as a button for the bathroom transformation, right? And it fills up the bathtub, and it feels kind of cute and cozy where our character's ready to take a bath or do some laundry. And of course, we can reverse that effect as well, right? So this is done with zero animation. This is all done via code, and that means I can kind of do dumb stuff like this, and it all just kind of works because it's just offsetting all these objects and just kind of moving them to position and then moving them back. So if we take a look at what I've made to do this, I'm using my scriptable object architecture, right, with game event listeners to kind of trigger this. I have this sequence launcher that launches everything in a list of TweenSequencers. And this TweenSequencer is a class that I built that's basically designed to allow us to do simple animation via the inspector and to build little sequences of animations that happen either simultaneously or one after the other. So if we look at this example, we have this bonsai shelf door. This is this little door over here. It opens up, and then the bonsai shelf itself slides out. So I need those to happen one after the other and to be kind of timed and sequenced correctly. So what we have is this tween data array of these tween data classes. Each tween data class has a enum, which is going to choose whether we're moving, rotating, or scaling. And then we have a reference to the transform that we want to animate. If we're doing movement, we have a position offset. Now, this is just going to move us one unit on the z-axis positively from the current position, right? This is one of the things I like about it. This system deals in offsets. There are no absolute world positions that are being animated between. So I could take this whole thing and move it, and it'll still work because it's just offsetting relative to wherever it started. We have the duration, which is in this case half a second. And then if we're doing rotation or scale, we have the opportunity to set those values. I could probably make a little editor script that hides those if the type is move, right? But I'm lazy, I haven't done that. Finally, we have the join property, which is a Boolean, which says, is this going to play simultaneously with the next item in the list? Or is this going to play sequentially where we do this, finish it, and then start the next one, right? These are sequential, so join is set to false. So if we open this up in Visual Studio, we'll see that we have this array of tween data, right? And if we select that and we go to the definition, this is just a little serializable C# class that inherits from nothing. We've got the enum, all those fields that I showed in the inspector, and then we've got this public function that returns a tween object called getTween. Now this is using the dg.tweening namespace, right? This is the DoTween namespace. And so we have this idea of a tween object, which is just basically a single small movement, right, or animation. And so here we have a switch, which takes in the input of the enum. And if we're doing a move, then we're going to calculate the target position, right, which is going to be the transform starting position of the object to move, and then plus a position offset, which is defined by the inspector. And then here, this is where we are going to actually kind of build the animation with code. So we can take the transform, and then DoTween adds this little sort of extra function to the transform, this little kind of shortcut function that returns a tween object where we just say, take the position that you want to move to, take the duration of how long you want to do. We know since we're doing it from this object that this is the object that we want to move. And in this case, I'm just storing that in my tween object so that I can return it back to my sequencer via the return here. Similar for rotate, we can do object to tween.doRotate, target rotation, in this case in Euler angles. It's a vector 3, not a quaternion. And then we have the same for scale, right? Do scale, we have the target scale, which is just a float. So we're going to pack that into a tween object, and then we're going to return it to our TweenSequencer when that getTween function is called. In the TweenSequencer, we just have our array of tween data. Here, we have a sequence object. This is another DoTween class. And this is where we can build a sequence of multiple tweens, right? And choose if we want them to happen sequentially or join them together. And so we're going to declare a sequence variable. We have a private Boolean that says, has the sequence been triggered before? We're going to use this to do the kind of ping-ponging forward and reverse functionality. In awake, we just create a new DoTween sequence and store it in my sequence. And then we call this build sequence method. The first thing we do in build sequence is we pause the tween sequence so that it doesn't start auto-playing when we build it. We set auto kill to false, because if auto kill is true, which is the default, it'll play the tween sequence and then dispose of it. We actually want to keep it around because we're going to play it and reverse it anytime the player clicks the interaction. Then we loop over the tween data array and check to see if this index has the Boolean set to join. Join is true. Then we're going to call mySequence.join and pass in that tween object that's returned by getTween, right? So we're going to join, meaning we're going to play concurrently whatever that tween is with whatever's added next, or we can append, which just builds a sequential sequence of tweens, so those movements are going to happen one after the other. Then here we just have a public method start sequence. This is called when the event is raised. Also, I'm using this button attribute, which is part of the Serenix Odin asset, right? I love Odin. Just for this, just being able to quickly add a button to things. I can click in the inspector to fire off the function. Love it. And so we're just going to check, has the sequence been triggered before? If it hasn't, then we're going to play it forward. And if it has been triggered before, then we're going to play it backwards, right? And this play forward and play backwards are just methods that are part of the sequence class. Once we've done that, we're just going to flip the Boolean of sequence triggered to the opposite of whatever it was, and then we're done. So it's really easy. I had a lot of fun playing with this. For me, sequencing these animations via the inspector. I don't know why, I just like it better than doing it via keyframe animation. Probably just the way that my brain works, but I was having fun with it and I like the flexibility of it. And then I just have a whole bunch of these, right? This is for the lamp. This is for the chest of drawers here. This is for the bed, right? There's all these separate objects that get animated separately, and then the bed rotates down after it's done. This was all kind of inspired by the movie The Fifth Element. The main character, Corbin Dallas, has this apartment with all these kind of contraptions, like a shower that turns into a freezer and a bed that kind of flips itself in and out. I thought that was really cool and just kind of playful and fun, futuristic idea. So I thought it would be appropriate for the kind of space theme here. And since it's kind of an Animal Crossing house game, I thought that would be a kind of a fun thing to have this kind of future robotic house. And it was fun to build it out with this. I think DoTween is worth checking out. There's also Lean Tween and Hot Tween and rolling your own tween library. There's a lot of different ways you could go in terms of tween libraries. I haven't tried the other ones. I've tried DoTween. So far, I like it. It's got its own way of doing things that you got to get used to, but it's pretty well documented. I'd be very interested to hear down in the comments if you've used another tweening library or if you've run into any issues with using DoTween or any of them or run into limitations of this as an approach. Let me know. We've been having some great conversation down in the comments, and I'm always super interested to hear input from you all. And if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing if you're enjoying what we're putting out. And please drop a like on it to help us be discovered via the YouTube algorithm and to help other people to discover the content. And yeah, I just really enjoy your spending a little time with me here, being part of the conversation. It's been really, really fun so far. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.